981 days. That is how long it had been since Neymar last wore the yellow shirt of Brazil in a competitive match. 981 days of surgery, rehabilitation, setbacks, comebacks that never came, false dawns, and the quiet, crushing uncertainty of not knowing whether the body that had carried him to the top of world football would ever fully cooperate again. And then, on Wednesday evening at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, in the 76th minute of Brazil's 3-0 win over Scotland, Carlo Ancelotti turned to his bench and pointed. Neymar stood up. 70,000 people inside that stadium rose with him. And by the time the final whistle blew, one of the most famous footballers on the planet was standing on the pitch in tears, face buried in his hands. 981 days of pain and patience finally arriving at the moment he had spent every one of those days fighting to reach. This is the full story of what happened in Miami on Wednesday, because the 3 points and the top spot in Group C are the footnote. The real story is the journey that ended on that pitch, and it is one of the most remarkable things this World Cup has produced. Let us go back to where it started. October 17th, 2023, a World Cup qualifying match between Brazil and Uruguay in Montevideo. Neymar received the ball, turned, and felt something in his left knee give way. He went down immediately. The images that came from that moment, the way he grabbed his knee, the look on the faces of his teammates around him, told the story before any medical report could confirm it. A complete tear of the anterior cruciate ligament, one of the most serious injuries any professional footballer can suffer, and for Neymar, it was not his first. It was the second major knee surgery of his career, the second time he had to start from scratch. The second time, he had to face the question that hangs over every elite athlete in their 30s who suffers a catastrophic injury. Is this the end? He was 31 years old at the time. By the time this World Cup began, he was 34. The window for a player of his type, a forward who relies on explosive movement, sharp changes of direction, and the ability to manipulate defenders in tight spaces, does not stay open indefinitely. Every month of rehabilitation was a month of his career that was gone. Every setback, and there were several, including a calf injury that ruled him out of Brazil's first 2 matches at this tournament against Morocco and Haiti, added another layer of uncertainty to a story that had already asked everything of him. But here's what you need to understand about what Neymar came back to. He did not come back to a Brazil squad that had moved on without him. He came back to a team that had missed him, that had spoken about him every week of this tournament, that had spoken about his absence the way you speak about something that genuinely matters. Vinicius Jr., who is now the undisputed star of this Brazil side, who had been extraordinary in the first 2 matches of this World Cup with 2 goals against Morocco and 2 against Scotland, said something in the build-up to Wednesday's match that landed quietly but completely. He said there are many positives, and Neymar coming off the bench can help us. That is not diplomatic football speak. That is Vinicius, a player who does not need Neymar for his own performance or his own confidence, saying something genuine about what the 34-year-old still means to this team. Bruno Guimaraes was even more direct after the match. Neymar is a star, a genius, a role model for all of us, he said. We try our best to make him feel comfortable when he steps onto the field. That sentence, we try our best to make him comfortable, is the language of a dressing room that genuinely cares about the man they are speaking about. Not just the player, the man. And Ancelotti's decision to bring him on when he did, at 76 minutes with the match already won, was thoughtful in a way that goes beyond tactics. The scoreline was 3-0. Brazil were through to the knockout rounds as group winners. He did not need Neymar to change the game. He gave Neymar the game to change himself. He gave him a moment, a crowd, a yellow shirt, the roar of 70,000 people standing up as one to welcome back someone they had genuinely missed. The Hard Rock Stadium erupted the second Neymar's name was announced. Not politely, not warmly. Erupted. The kind of noise that only happens when something feels significant to the people making it. And as Neymar walked to the touchline, as he prepared to enter the pitch for the first time in a competitive international match in 981 days, you could see him take it in. The noise, the moment, the weight of everything it had taken to get there. He stepped onto the pitch and the stadium got louder. He touched the ball for the first time and the stadium got louder still. He did not score. He did not need to. His 14 minutes on that pitch in Miami were not about statistics. They were about presence, about the reminder that he was still there, still moving, still capable of doing things with a football that make the people watching him stop and pay attention. His teammates around him understood what was happening. Several of them actively looked for him when they had the ball, not because the tactics required it, because the moment required it. And then the final whistle blew, and Neymar stood on the pitch and cried. Not a few quiet tears. The cameras found him with his face in his hands, shoulders moving, completely overcome. 981 days of fighting condensed into one moment of release. His wife and daughter were in the stands. When he saw them, his expression changed. The tears did not stop, but something behind his eyes shifted. Relief, maybe, or something closer to gratitude. Fabrizio Romano shared the image within minutes. It was everywhere within an hour. Because it is the kind of image that connects with something fundamental. Not football, not sport. The human experience of fighting for something for a very long time, suffering for it, doubting whether it would come, and then arriving at the moment when it does and feeling the full weight of everything that preceded it all at once. Now, let us talk about what his return means historically, because the records matter, even if the emotions matter more. By stepping onto that pitch on Wednesday, Neymar became only the fourth Brazilian player in history to appear in 4 separate FIFA World Cups. The others are Pelé, Djalma Santos, and Cafu. He is in the company of legends. And he became only the second player after Pelé to wear Brazil's iconic number 10 shirt at 4 different World Cup tournaments. Not 4 matches. 4 tournaments. The number that Brazil has reserved for its greatest players. The number that Diego Maradona made mean something different for Argentina. The number that defines what a team's most important footballer is supposed to be. He has 79 international goals in 130 appearances for Brazil, the all-time record for his country. He has spent the better part of 3 years fighting injuries that would have ended careers less resilient than his. He has come back twice from the kinds of injuries that most footballers come back from only once, if at all. And he has come back each time at a standard that still justifies his place in one of the best squads in the world. Brazil now move into the knockout rounds as Group C winners, having beaten Haiti in Scotland and drawn with Morocco. Vinicius has been the best player in the squad across those 3 matches. The team around him has been organized, physical, and direct. And somewhere in that squad, now fit and available and having tasted competitive football again for the first time since October 2023, is Neymar. The question for the knockout rounds is obvious. How much of him does Ancelotti use, and when? Does he start? Does he continue from the bench, coming on to change games when they are level rather than won? Does the manager trust his body to handle the physical demands of a knockout stage match against the kind of opposition that will arrive in the round of 32? Ancelotti has said he gave Neymar the chance against Scotland because he deserved it. That tells you the coach sees this as more than pure calculation. But the knockout rounds will require a different kind of calculation. And how Ancelotti manages the balance between what Neymar deserves and what Brazil needs will be one of the most interesting tactical stories of the next 3 weeks. What is not in doubt is what Wednesday night in Miami meant. Not tactically, not statistically. In every other way that sport occasionally matters beyond the game itself. A 34-year-old man who suffered one of the worst injuries his sport can produce, who spent nearly 3 years fighting to come back, who watched 2 World Cup matches from the sideline while his body refused to cooperate, stepped onto a football pitch at the biggest tournament in the world and heard 70,000 people tell him they were glad he had made it. And then he cried. Because sometimes that is the only response the moment allows. 981 days. It is a long time to fight for something. It is a long time to keep believing when the evidence keeps suggesting you should stop. But Neymar is back. Brazil are through. And the knockout rounds of the 2026 World Cup are about to find out what a fit, motivated, and emotionally restored Neymar Jr. looks like on the biggest stage that football has to offer. So what do you think? Is Neymar back at the level where he can genuinely change Brazil's knockout campaign and push them toward a first World Cup title since 2002? Or was Wednesday night in Miami the emotional peak of his tournament, a beautiful moment that the physical reality of knockout football will eventually bring back to earth? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. A like genuinely helps more than you would think. And subscribe if you want World Cup coverage that goes beyond the result and tells you the full story of what is actually happening at this tournament. Football at this scale is never just a tournament. It is a moment in time. And on Wednesday night in Miami, 981 days after it felt like it might be over, Neymar's moment finally arrived.